whether it was a personal account or a government account. I did not send classified material, and I did not receive any material that was marked or designated classified, which is the way you know whether something is.
New reaction to Hillary Clinton's email scandal. The Democratic presidential frontrunner insists she never sent classified information and that the investigation is not about her. But former Attorney General Michael Mukasey tells Fox News it is about her and not just a political witch hunt.
So far as definitions of what's classified and what's not, obviously at the margins there are some things that may or may not be classified. But we're talking about information that went to the Secretary of State, who is the highest foreign relations officer of the United States. It's inconceivable to me that a great deal of that was not classified.
So will there be legal fallout for the former Secretary of State? Eric Guster joins us, Richard St. Paul, and both are defense attorneys. Gentlemen, good to see you. Eric, is the Attorney General right? There would have to be classified materials in emails over the course of 4 years. I mean, it would be impossible to be operating, it would seem, as Secretary of State without it.
It's totally impossible, and that's going to be the big problem for Hillary. It doesn't take a long laundry list of emails. It only takes one to get her in big trouble, and that's what the Democrats are going to have to be faced with, because all this email going through the Secretary of State, although it may not be labeled as classified, that means that there were some things that were actually classified that may not have that label. Who knows what secrets were being traded between them and who she emailed that wasn't listed in the subject line classified.
Right.
But if the information in there was classified, she's going to have big trouble, and I think her presidential hopeful dreams are going to go up in smoke.
Richard, Clinton continues to argue, and her campaign does, that, look, the FBI is not conducting a criminal investigation. And second of all, she's not the target of it. That's not what Mukasey said. Take a listen to him.
To say that the investigation is not of someone personally is ridiculous. The FBI does not investigate machines. It investigates people. And she's certainly one of the people who's being investigated.
Richard, is he right?
He's 100% right. Listen, when somebody kills somebody with a gun, they don't investigate the gun that killed the person. They investigate the actual, the gun, they investigate the actual person. And this is true. They are investigating Hillary Clinton's actions. Whether or not she retained or deleted classified information is of utmost importance, and it carries misdemeanor and felony penalties with it. Look, she is the only Secretary of State to not have a state government email address. Why is that? Because the Clintons like to skirt the law. They think that they're above the law, and I think here's an example of when her actions are going to come back to bite her.
Yeah, look, Clinton's defense here, and she repeats it all the time, is that she neither sent nor received materials or documents that were marked classified. And Howard Dean made the same argument. Take a listen.
She did not break any rules. She did not break any policy. She may have sent stuff that was classified that wasn't labeled classified, and it is well known that the State Department and others are trying to get stuff classified after the fact. She can't be blamed for this.
You know, Richard, when you read the statute, it's very clear. It's not about how a document was marked, but the content of the document. That is to say, if it was classified. So her defense that, gee, it wasn't marked so I didn't know, that's not really a good legal defense, is it?
No. What she's trying to say is I did not knowingly retain or delete classified information. That's not at issue here. It's not about knowingly. It's about being held to a higher standard as a government official with top secret classified information. The standard of care is much higher for you. You need to protect information. So It doesn't have to be marked classified. You just have to protect the information, and that starts with not having it on your personal email server.
Yeah, which invites another question, Eric. I mean, how could she not know? I mean, she was privy to many of our nation's most guarded secrets. Regardless of how a document is marked, she should have been able to recognize it instantaneously for what it was, shouldn't she?
That goes to the level of competence of our leaders. if a person has classified information and they don't realize it's classified, they probably don't need to have that information in their possession. And that's one of the problems that we're dealing with. If you don't know something is classified, you don't need to have the job.
Yeah.
And that's almost like a person saying, well, and they're saying it wasn't labeled classified. That's like saying, well, there's cocaine in my bag, but it's not labeled cocaine. You know what it is. You know what it should be.
Of course.
They should have known that this was classified information, and she should have protected it, because that could have that could have caused a lot of problems with people tapping into her server like these hackers are doing left and right these days.
Richard, in a way, is she arguing incompetence as her defense? I was too inept to really realize that was an incredibly top secret classified document.
Well, one, yes, she's arguing that, hey, you know, if it's not marked classified, how am I supposed to know? That argument doesn't hold any weight. Second thing she's arguing is that the State Department did not have a sophisticated system for retaining information and preserving information as standardized by the federal statute, because there's a way you have to retain information, store information for archive purposes, okay? So those are her two arguments. But yet, come on. What the reality of the situation is, you're the Secretary of State, you're the Chief Foreign Officer, there's 50,000 emails, and you're telling me that none of those are classified? That's baloney.
You know,
that's
Eric,
like
David Kendall, who is Hillary Clinton's lawyer, wrote a letter to the State Department saying, quote, Secretary Clinton's use of personal email was consistent with the practice of other secretaries of state. Well, that's not quite true. No previous Secretary of State set up their own homebrew personal server and then used it exclusively for her business.
Exactly. You can't, those are apples and oranges that you're dealing with. And another big problem that she's going to have, Greg, is she turned over thumb drives with the emails, and if she deleted or did not turn over all the information, she's going to have trouble with hiding information or not providing enough discovery, and that is a different litany of charges that she could face if she's hiding information from the government.
Right.
So she's going to have a big brew of problems coming up.
Eric Guster, Richard St. Paul, good to see you both. Thank you, guys.
Same here. Take care.